Hi guys, so we are going to learn how to make the clutch purse today and assemble all that I had talked about in my previous video of all the patterns and measurements I showed you. And so based off whatever, if you use my same measurements or you decide to use your own patterns, I hope you're still able to interpret this next video of how to put it all together easily. So as you can see, it'll be just like the body of the bag. And then this flap that we insert, and then I'll talk about how you can do your own closures. And so here we go. I talked about a base, that pentagon shape and that more, not pentagon, trapezoid body shape, and then that triangular envelope flat piece. So this is my fabric I'm going to use for the outside. So I did two, again like the pentagon for the outside, and then I did two of this bright cobalt blue for the inside. It's a durable kind of canvas, outdoor canvas kind. This is the flap I'm doing, so you see that V right there. And then this is the interior. And then I'm actually going to do a pocket. I'll show you. So you trace another one of those. And I kind of just chopped off a little bit on the bottom and on the top so that it's just straight across like this, and it's a little shorter, so I'll show you how to assemble it. So the first thing that we're going to do is sew these together. This is the exterior pieces. With this one, there's really no front and back, so on a normal piece of fabric you'd you place the two correct sides together. So I'm going to pin this, and then you're going to sew just all along. Sorry if I'm holding it too low. All along there, leaving the top open. So what I'm holding is the body of the bag, and then this piece is the pocket, but it's flipped over so that the correct side is actually facing this way. It's hard, again, to tell on this, but it's facing that way, and what you'll do is stitch right along here, so when you flip it up, it'll look nice. It'll be the correct side. And it's hard to tell, but what I did here is that you'll see it kind of comes to like a little V there. This V right here you'll sew. So that's where they're meeting at. That's where they become even, and then you're just going to sew right along there. What I've done, I sewed it and I flipped it up and I pinned it here so that then I did a stitch. Oh, this is terrible quality, and now it's turning all purple. I'll go back to white. Okay. But I folded it up and then I did a stitch on here. It just gives it a cleaner look and secures it. And now what you're doing at the top, you're not going to keep it frayed. Let's just hold the pocket part, and you're just going to fold it under. You can fold it once, or you can fold it again so that you don't see that frayed part. But really, again, it's just the inside of the pocket. So what I did, I just I took it and folded it twice. Can I just show you guys my room? I'm not embarrassed. I just think it's so funny that it really is a dreadful mess. Like, my floor is just covered with stuff. Yeah, and then this is my desk. This is what my desk looks like. It's just covered with paper and fabric and everything that doesn't belong on a normal desk. And I love it. And I have a ton of fabric right there too, because I just consulted. Oh, and then you have to look at my bed, because I just bought a ton of fabric and zippers. They were $1. They were $1 at Walmart. It was great. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to put 3 pockets, so what we just do, all you do to distinguish the pockets is just stitch, and then you create those little pockets there. I'm going to divide it into 3 sections, so I'm going to sew it according to the top, and it looks like it's like 10.5. 10.5 divided by 3, 3.5. Duh. I could have done that. I'm going to take, actually I'm just going to use a pin to mark it. So you just mark at the 3.5 marks. So again, I marked it at the 3.5 marks, and then I just stitch down northward and down there. So I've stitched, again you can't really see, but I stitched the 2, and now we're going to treat it, just do like normal. You're going to face, so as if it was the inside, you're going to face that along with the other correct part of the bag, which is this side. Put them together, sew along the sides, and leave the top open. So now we have that done, and what I talked about, we're not going to keep these so pointy. We're going to flatten, well, round them out. And the reason, if you saw in the pocket, a reason why I didn't make it go all the way down, even with the bottom, is because of this next part that we're going to do. It's like this, and then you're going to puff out the sides, and then if you can feel the seams so that they're right next to each other, just so you don't have them skewed off and then it'll look really funny when it's done. But you're going to feel so that the seams hit. Then I like to just pin that down. And you're going to do this to all 4 corners and then of the exterior as well. And you want to do this part with the seams facing outside, because again, it's where all the stitching takes place. I hiccup randomly. I call them burp ups, because I normally do that after I eat. And yeah, a lot of people have them. People think I'm crazy with it though. But I've had it since college. I didn't have it in high school, which is so weird. But yeah, it's a little thing about me. If you have those as well, I would love to know and hear about it, because I have a list of all these, everyone I know that has these kind of hiccups. So now that all 4 corners are done, you take your tape measure, and I think the one before, it was only 1 inch, and I think that's all that we will do. So if you see like your seam, you can be able to tell. Again, this is the worst fabric to do it on, but if you see your seam on normal fabric, it's pretty clear. And then we're doing 1 inch. You put that seam on the 1/2 inch mark, and then we sew across that line. And again, normally you'd put we can do it with a Sharpie. You put a line across there. Kind of tell. And then you do it for all of them. So again, you match up the seam in the middle of that triangle with the 1/2 inch mark, or wherever 1/2 is from however wide. If you're doing it 3 inches wide, then 1/2 of that is 1.5. So you put the seam on the 1.5 mark, or 2 inches on the 1 inch mark. Math, I love math. I hope you do. I really do love math. If advertising or sewing doesn't work out, I'll be a math teacher. I'm serious. And I'll teach everyone to sew. I'll apply it with sewing. I'll teach it with sewing word problems. Okay, so I've sewed them, and I even chopped them off. But sometimes you might not want to chop it off until you turn it inside out, and you can really see if that's how much you wanted it. Say you did 3 inches, you didn't really want 3, you wanted 2. So I would suggest on your first time, or if you're not sure, just leave it until you flip it out, see if you like it, and then, yeah. So as you can see, it just pinches in a little bit there, and that's cute. Then you put your pocket in, and we're almost done. So once I kind of get it all snug in there, pulling it out to, those edges, poking it through, I like to pin it all the way around, starting it at the seams, matching up the seams here, and pin that, and then match up the other seams, get them leveled. Now we have to do this flat part, and so you're going to put the two correct sides facing each other, and you're going to sew. I guess if you sewed at the top, because we're not putting batting in, if you sewed all the way around, that would be good. That way, so that these don't, yeah, that top part doesn't like flap around or whatever. So, sew all the way around. Remember how I said sew the top? Don't, because guess what? You cannot flip it inside out. That is a problem. Oh my gosh. Wow, okay, you make these mistakes all the time. I've sewn a million of these flaps. No, not a million, maybe like 5. But, actually more than 5, maybe 10. But really, Sarah? So now that I have turned it inside out, I pinned the sides, and then I'm going to sew along. Well, I just made sure that they're really pulled tightly and the seams are just right on the edge. And I'm going to sew along the edges just to secure that and make it stiff, make it sturdy. Now that I have sewn the flap, what I did, you can kind of see, I did 2. I did one right along the edge and then one about an inch in, just adds a special little design element there. And then, and remember, I did about 3/4 of an inch seam allowance here again, so when tucking it in, so you have enough for it to grab onto. I would pin it also just along there, just to be sure that it all stays flat and in line with each other. I went ahead and tucked in the top parts, and I pinned it all along the top to secure that in, and especially, I'm going to say especially, I ironed the side with the pockets, because that will be the back part of the bag that will have the flap attached to it. So this is the part that I ironed, because when you put the flap in, you want to be sure that it keeps its form. The other part's not as a big deal, because you're going to sew just right over it. Because of this, just the fabric that I chose, this black and white one, I'm going to pin it not to the blue, but just itself, because it's not keeping its form very well, just because it is a woven, it's not knit. And so I pinned it just on, as you can see it's open there, I pinned it on just the sides, and now if you hold tight here, you can see that it's keeping it, it's tucking in pretty well, and it's keeping pretty, it's staying tucked in pretty good there. Keep the pins there. You're going to pin from the inside, because you're going to sew from the inside. So I'm going to take the pin and pretend as if you're sewing it, so the flap is going to be on your right side, and just so that when you sew along, you can just pull the pins out as you go. And so I'm holding it this way, flap is on my right side, holding it tight with this left hand, okay, left hand, and I'm pinning it. So now I have caught hold, yeah, you can't see here, but I have caught hold of the other side, and I can take this other part out. So you're just going to do that and make sure again that when you pull it, it's straightened so that it doesn't look all wobbly. Now that I have that secured, I made all of the pins right at this seam facing out, like the pins poking that way, so that I can just pull them out as I sew. So now I just have to sew all around, and then we'll be done, and then we can talk about how we want to do different closures for it. So my closure, I have this peg right here, it's attached to the body of the bag, and then I put a hole through the fabric, and then this piece of leather that I sewed on, kind of to mimic the V of this bag. Yeah, so it just secures like that, or you don't have to have one, or you could do a snap, like a magnetic snap, or a button, or what else? I don't know, many different things, a tie, ribbon, or something. So yeah, thanks for watching. and learning how to make this clutch bag. Again, you can go back in my other video to learn the pattern, and it teaches you how to make it how to think of one yourself. You don't have to use the dimensions I did, but you can make it as big, as tall, as poofy, as you want. And so that I hope that you're able to learn about that and thinking through all those processes and learning some math along the way. And again, thanks for watching, and please check out my other videos that I have on my channel, subscribe, and also to give you a heads up that I'm having a contest that starts next Monday, and it'll go for a week, and it's in combination with my friend who has a fashion blog. So that's just a heads up. I'll give you more details, I think, just later this week, but it starts Monday, so you have time to learn about it and to do it. So again, thanks for watching. Bye.